Welcome to the New Monks. This podcast is dedicated to those of us on the journey of evolution. Through these episodes, we will dive into the lives of individual people and discover what they have learnt and how they have handled their growth. We believe that we all have wisdom to be shared with each other and can learn from listening to each other's stories. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you feel like leaving us a review and sharing the love, that would be greatly appreciated. So this is just a heads up because, there's a lot of information that is coming to light at the moment, and through these episodes, each person is going to share a different side of that for them. Now, this isn't to say that every single thing that is shared here is going to be 100% accurate, It's just not where we are right now. It's just not the case of the unraveling and the disclosures that are being revealed to us. Obviously, things are always changing, and in one moment something can be so real and so true, and the next moment is completely shifted and changed into something else. This is the journey of evolution. This is the journey of ascension that we are going through right now. So this is just an invitation that your discernment is really, really important. As always, as usual, please take what resonates and leave the rest. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to the New Monks podcast. I am Jay Muller, and today I am in conversation with Awsun. And this episode is really about recalibration and consolidation of everything that we've been through in life. He's got such an amazing perspective of just really being able to see things the way they are and a bit differently, and not be so attached to the trigger and the intricacy or the trauma or the dense emotions that can be carried through certain experiences. And he basically, first of all, talks about Base 12, Keylontic Science, and how that caused a huge shift that really just put a lot of things into perspective, which it kind of has done for a lot of people from what I've heard. And so that happened, but also his journey really started when he was 15 and he watched Zeitgeist, and that just opened him up to all these conspiracy theories which were actually real. So this is a really cool episode, and I really like the way that he views the world and he sees things. And I think that, to be honest, this is the way that we're all moving forwards, with a lot more power, empowerment, and authority over our lives and our experiences in our lives, and coming outside of the victimizer game. So yeah, this is a really powerful episode. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Excited to talk.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And also, I feel like you were very positive in wanting to talk, which is really cool. So, thank you.
Have you had people, or offered people to have do calls and people said no?
Some people have said no, yeah, and some people, I think maybe it's more to be like, I don't know, the timing. They say yeah, but then it just doesn't happen. But a lot of people who have actually, they might be a bit reluctant, but they want to. But it's more like, being able to talk and everything.
Well, I have no problem talking.
Amazing. So how we normally begin is just to take a few deep breaths in and out. And then just tell us how you're feeling right now.
I'm feeling good. Um, I ever since I uh, got into the Keylontic Science teachings that we're going to be going over in a little bit. Anytime I take deep breaths, I do six pointed the lotus breaths from the material. And basically the theory behind that is like, people really only consciously breathe like from the front side of their body. And like you're only really circulating energy from here. But when you do 6 point lotus breaths, you're bringing from front, back, side, top and bottom of your head and body. And I've definitely noticed like when uh, dealing with kind of polarities or like people's energies, the 6 point lotus breath is really powerful. It just like circulates that energy so quickly. But yeah, so anytime I do deep breathing, I've just kind of programmed myself to do 6 point lotus breaths, and it's really helped. Oh, and my cat during the interview.
Yeah, getting involved. So just can you just explain where the 6 points are and how you do that?
Yeah, so it's you breathe as if like I mean you people normally breathe as if they're breathing from their front, right? Like that's the default, like you're bringing it in, but like you breathe in as if you have like a pair of lungs like behind you, in front of you, to your side, uh, bottoms of your feet, and on top of your head. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's really powerful to help circulate energies that I found. Like I dealt with like anxiety and all these things that the human body goes through, and it's like a natural process, or natural but not organic. That's like a
Mm.
good distinction to make. Like natural,
Mm.
it's like how your body deals with stuff. But since like I got into I really like I had my third, I would say I've had like four awakenings like since growing up. And um the Keylontic Science teachings is probably like my, I mean, so far, who knows, I might have another awakening.
Yeah.
so so far,
Yeah.
uh, of all the material I've gone through, of all the techniques I've tried, like previously, and who knows what, like teachings, none of them really helped me as much as the base 12
Mm.
stuff, and Keylontic teachings, uh, or it's called guardian material too. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I ever since I like 2018 is when I got into this spiral, and I haven't had anxiety since 2018.
Dude, I love that you say that because I feel like I've really dealt with that as well. And I hear
Yeah.
people talking about it, and I'm like, I literally cannot remember the last time I went into that kind of spiral. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah. It is like uh we'll probably get into it a little bit later, but this whole thing about I'm sure it's been in people's like awareness for a while now, like the two competing spirals, the Fibonacci
Oh, yeah.
and the crystal spiral. But yeah, once you kind of recalibrate out of the Fibonacci spiral, like anxiety literally hits different.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Like when you're kind of calibrated in the Metatronic stuff, and in the victim mindset, and like you know, oh, this is happening to me because of this, or you're blaming stuff.
Mm.
Um, it just, you can never find the source of what's bothering you. But when, like, what I really liked about the crystal spiral stuff and Keylontic Science, Guardian Teachings, whatever you want to call it, is it literally just puts the power like back in your hands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that
Yeah,
whole thing,
totally.
yeah. The whole thing with like accountability, responsibility. When
Mm.
I realized like I'm actually responsible for
Mm-hmm.
my anxiety. It's not like, you know, my work situation. It's not the person on a bus like staring at me creepily or whatever. It's like how I'm allowing that energy into my field,
Yeah.
and like it really kind of takes the that like whatever overlay was on there before where you couldn't see like the energy clearly. And yeah, that's probably been my biggest the biggest benefit I could say from this crystal spiral awakening is just more power. Like
Mm.
I feel more more empowered.
I love it. She wants to get in the conversation.
Yeah. I feel more empowered, um, and just like just I don't doubt myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like doubt here and there. Like I said, doubt is a natural part of life, but it's not like, you know, our organic state. Like all these things are, you know, a natural part of the human experience, but like you're not supposed to be always doubting yourself and stuff. And like um nothing else in my life has gotten me to that point where I'm like so confident in my energy, so confident in myself.
Mm.
um but yeah, it's really interesting. Like 5 6 years ago I was completely different. Like, and I, even not even 5 6 years ago, but even before I got um like before 2018, like 2017 me and 2018 me is completely different. Like my family's like, what happened to you? You're not the same person. And like
Wow.
it's because I used to, like, you know, call them all the time and like, you know, uh like always be, you know, in contact, but uh I kind of lost touch with them, but I was gaining more touch with myself.
Mm.
So for me, it didn't feel bad, but for them, since they're still in that mindset, it was like I was like, you know, getting, but all I was doing was just getting into me.
Mm.
But yeah, when you're outside looking in, especially um, if you have any overlays, like, you know, that victim mindset, or like if you have attachments, like if my family members must have had unhealthy attachments to me,
Mm-hmm.
why they they reacted how they reacted when I stopped, you know, connecting a lot, because I realized like connecting with them was like draining. So I'm
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. I feel like that's a natural part of the process, and definitely, I think a lot of people would have gone through a similar thing all of a sudden. It's like that quote that you see where it's like, when you remove yourself from those like unhealthy relationships, and then all of a sudden you start to really see what they were, you know? So I'm so intrigued about the four different kind of awakening stages that you said that you went through. And I love what you said about there's a difference between natural and organic, because the word natural is so confused and like, what does it even really mean? Do you know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. It's, you know, we awaken in stages. There isn't like the
Mm,
new age stuff, you know, it tells you, oh, you have this one big awakening and you're great. And like
yes.
what what
Yeah.
I've come to learn through all this material I've, you know, digested and distilled within myself is, there's layers. Like we talk about this all the time. It's like there's layers upon layers.
Yeah.
Like, and when you think you're done, like
Yes.
that's when you have more work, like way more.
Yeah. And I like what you said there as well, because it's almost like it's not just one thing and you stay there.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's constantly evolving.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely like there are movements where you just um like awaken into that like bliss state, and then you just always like you're meditating to reach that bliss state, and when you're there you're like, oh, I'm good now, and then you just go back to sleeping, and then when something happens to you, you're like, oh, I gotta get back to my bliss state, and then you do your techniques, get back to the bliss state, and then you go come back to you go back to sleep. That's the cycle that people are living in, and they think like every time they get high and then come back down, like stuff is changing, but really all they're doing is like
Mm.
repeating the loop. And
Yeah, and also in a way avoiding the shadow work. You
mhm,
know, there is definitely a lot of that going on. Um, but I also resonate with what you said about finding the Keylontic Science stuff because I feel like for me it was just a big unveiling. Like,
mm.
whoa, and it's huge disillusionment,
Yeah, for me it was very huge. Like I did a few of the techniques, and like right away I was having crazy dreams. We're mutual friends of Georgie's. You can ask her. After I got halfway through Flame Bodies, which is a technique course in the teachings, in the Guardian teachings.
When did you do that?
Oh, like in 2019 or something like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Um, I got halfway through the flame bodies, and like I was already, my consciousness was like I had a dream where I went to like Georgie's apartment, and like she had headphones on and she was listening to music, just like relaxing, and I woke, but there was just a different quality to it,
Mm.
that dream. And when I woke up, I messaged Georgie and I was like, hey, were you like, listening to music, like wearing headphones or something? And she's like, what the fudge? I was doing that like 30 minutes ago. How did you know? Um, yeah, I never,
Wow.
yeah, it was very weird. It
You
was
know what's
very,
so funny? I've literally yesterday was talking to her about one of my dreams. Anyway, that's so funny.
yeah, yeah. So, um, that like nothing like that has ever happened to me. Like that was like direct consciousness, like
Mm.
communication, um
Mm.
like with a person. Like that stuff might happen when you're in dreams with like other things,
Yes.
but like with somebody on earth, like I know
Wow.
that like it was a direct, like it was like I walked out my door, went into her apartment, and then like came back.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Never in my life anything like that happened, and that was just the start of it. Like ever since then, I've had crazy experiences, like direct cognition, like psychic experiences. Like I can, you know, like I just know stuff sometimes about myself, or like I'll have dreams where it feels like it's another me somewhere. Um,
Mm.
and I think that has a lot to do with like the how the material really like frees your consciousness. Like
Ooh, I love that.
yeah, it's because um
Mm.
in the Guardian teachings, they say like you have like uh your energy field is like bubbles within bubbles, and like
Yeah.
there's repulsion zones between each bubble, and one of the strongest ones is between the astral and like what's after the astral.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, or I feel that the Guardian teachings, when you do the techniques and the flame bodies and stuff like that, it like burns whatever stuff is in those repulsion zones, and lets you communicate more with your like whole bubble.
I love that.
But yeah, it's so interesting. We could talk about
Yeah.
Keylontic for
Well, I mean,
forever.
I like what you said about it. It's just it's about standing in your power and taking responsibility, and like that is the main fundamental and being sovereign, you know. And I
Yeah,
feel like that is the whole point of this whole process. And I feel like that's where we're headed. But I
yeah.
really want to just talk about like your early days and how you know the first kind of awakening that you had and how that happened, and then yeah.
Oh, so I've been a conspiracy theorist like my whole life. Like since like 15 years old. Like I was in eighth grade when nine uh the 9/11 thing happened. And just it felt so fishy to me. I remember seeing the video footage and just being like, where did the plane go? And that was when I was like in eighth grade. And then uh, when I was like 15, like in 10th grade, 11th grade, I found like conspiracy videos on, like, I found the conspiracy tribe on the internet. Like, I found forums of people discussing this stuff, psychic experiences, alien encounters, and blah, blah, blah. Um, and that was my first like real like awakening into like just that area where, the unknown, like the unknown or something like that. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first experience. I
Well, I guess it's also just realizing that things might not be the way that they seem, you know?
Yeah, like literally everything you've been taught is a
Yeah.
lie. Is a lie. Like I started when I was like 15 years old. Yeah, and I saw that first conspiracy video. It was called like Zeitgeist.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. That was one of the first ones I watched as well. But maybe a bit older when I was like 19 or something.
Yeah, I watched that shit when I was like in 10th grade. And it just blew my mind like open. I was like, holy shit, like everything people are being told is a lie. Like I went head first into that. And like anytime anyone ever talked about it or anything, I'd be like, 9/11 was an inside job, right? And like people just thought I was crazy. um
Yeah, I love
I
it.
was just I was just this 15-year-old, um, you know, who just like gave no fucks. And I just, like, I don't know. That was my first awakening. I was like, nothing's real. Fuck every
It's
fuck
so
every
funny. You know what? I remember one of my friends showed me that video, and they were talking about the Illuminati, and I was like, "What's that?" Like, I never heard of it before. And he was like, "You need to watch this documentary." But what do you think it was about you that, like, especially that's quite young to come across, and also to just take it on? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. George, my cat. Oh my God. I don't know. Um, I think like at this point we know, like, we're different. Like
Mhm.
people like us are different. Like not in a racist way or like like a supremacist way or anything.
Yes.
Just like
Yeah.
naturally, just some parts of us are different. Like, we're
Yes.
still human, but there's just like this part of us that just knows something, like
Yes. Yes.
something
Oh my
up,
days. I love, yes.
right?
Yes, and I've always
Like
felt that, especially when I was younger.
yeah,
It's like
and
this.
it's always been the external world kind of like um making you doubt yourself,
Yes.
right? You're like, you've always known, like you always question stuff, but then, like, your parents or whatever, or school, they'll tell you like, oh, don't think like that.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
productive.
I was just gonna say one of the things that I always recognize is that I was just unafraid to not follow the crowd and
Mm,
just think something else.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
um but yeah, like I realized at that point when I had my conspiracy theorist awakening that like everything is a lie and people just tell you tell you what, like, what'll make them feel better, or like they've built this illusion. And like what happens, like when you're coming into somebody with a different perspective and they already built like an illusion around this reality or whatever they've been told, what you're doing is basically like uh throwing stones at like their glass house pretty much.
Yes,
But like
yes,
that glass house doesn't even exist.
yeah.
So, but like, yeah, so it's literally life and death. Like these like people who have built, like, identities around these illusions, like somebody who's like so patriotic and like, believes 9/11 was done by terrorists and America's right and Americans amazing and all this stuff. And like you come in there and you tell them it was an inside job, you're supporting the biggest like terrorist organization in the world. Actually, like there was like no terrorists, and like they would lose their minds. Like if they
Yes.
had a gun, they'd probably shoot you.
But
Like,
what you said there is key, is because people have built their identity around these things. And one
yeah,
of the things about going through this process in the awakening I found is that you constantly stripped of your identity over and over, you know?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, exactly. And like that's what it's about. Like
Hmm.
like like the layers thing we were talking about, you grow up, you're programmed into a layer of something, or like an overlay, and then you keep growing up, somebody adds something else, like, it might be religion, it might be education, it might be like a moral structure. And like, I'm not saying morals are like
Yes.
not useful, but the
Yeah.
system uses that to
Yes.
oppress people.
And to
Like,
manipulate. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh like the whole concept of like global warming and like being kind to the environment, and like they make the rest, like the billionaires and like corporations and stuff, they make the rest of the world like, feel bad, and like, oh, I'm gonna not use my car as much. I'm gonna carpool. I'm not gonna use plastic straws. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. Blah blah blah. Like so many things. Like the corporations put that on the
Yeah.
humanity, and
Yeah.
at the same time, they're flying around with
Yes.
private jets,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, creating 10 times the emissions that a million people would in their cars.
Yes. So
Uh,
true. So true.
so those morals and like those values and stuff have been uh, used, turned into like something to manipulate humanity with, like, so it gives the corporations and billionaires and like these people who have pull in the world more room to like do whatever the fuck they want. Like if everyone on the planet was told like, you're free, you don't have to listen to anyone, you can fly anywhere without a passport, like which you actually can, like all that is bullshit. Um like if they said you don't need like all these things like land permits, uh licenses and all that, like all of that is made up stuff, like it's based on agreement. You don't like we only require that stuff because we live in a system that requires it and like makes you require it. And like they've built ways to siphon energy off of that stuff. Like,
Yes.
like license it, you need money to make a license, all this stuff. Like, so they've tied everything into like the money structure. And it's just like the more you think about it, it just like you see it
Yes.
fractalized
Wow. I
into
love it because I also, and the other thing I think is that it makes people dependent on it and feel like you need it in order to survive. And then people defending it, and it's like, we don't actually need this.
yeah.
But
And I'm gonna plug in my bro my bro Chris here. I'm sure you had him on your podcast.
Yes,
I
yes,
don't know if he discussed the stuff, but he's actively right now, creating
yes.
uh, sacred assemblies and 501c3s and like uh, things that uh, things that exist, like are their own like their own system outside of this, like
Yeah, outside of the public domain.
yeah, outside of the public system, outside of
Yeah,
the one where it's like, it's give and take,
right.
or more you give uh like everything and we take everything.
Yeah,
Like
literally.
it's barely give and take.
Yeah, I think he actually went and he's doing way more after the podcast that I did with him. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So he's created a private members association, right?
Yeah,
Essentially.
yeah. So yeah, basically they've made it so anyone who joins that uh, private assembly is protected under the laws of that private assembly, and it's basically
Mm-hmm.
uh, using the game's rules against itself. Like
Mm-hmm.
people have been so used to being beat down by the system, like and like this knowledge has been pushed out of public consciousness,
Yeah.
uh, and like it's really, yeah, he's doing some really important work, because once you step out of, like, reclaim your straw man, step out of the public arena or whatever, literally, like, I mean, like maybe from like becoming a serial killer or something, like everything else that you would think is like illegal,
Yes.
like driving without a license, owning land without a permit, blah 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 blah, like all of
Yeah.
that is bullshit.
I
Like,
know. I mean, I totally agree with you, and it's all made up, like you said. It's literally made up. And also so powerful to come into that recognition. But what it's so interesting. So this is all like to do with common law, and I feel
mhm,
like it can be very daunting. I think even when I first came across this, I was like, what? And also, there's not one book, and then there will never be one. You know what I mean? It's you
yeah,
just have to pick up the information. But it's mad because I only came across it last year, and I feel like I'm actually quite well versed now. It's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, it just requires a little reading, like,
Yes. Yes.
uh, how I started, absorbing information is like I set aside like a day. I mean, not a day. Like
Yeah.
I would drive myself crazy, but like an hour a day,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
2 hours a day sometimes, to just like get into something that is
Yeah.
going to expand my consciousness, whether it's stuff concerning my awakening,
Hmm.
if I'm doing shadow work, if I'm reading up on the guardian material stuff, watching uh, any kinds of webinars I resonate with, um, guardian teachings or otherwise. Like um, there's a wealth of information out there, like wealth of perspectives. I feel like there's puzzle pieces everywhere.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
what we're programmed to
Yes.
think is like, one thing has all the answers, and it's safest to just, like, when you're comfortable with one thing, just, be with that one thing, and you'll be fine. Like, there's nothing to worry about. But what from my journey, what I've realized is, I've picked up pieces from everything, and like, you know turned it into something that resonates for
Yeah.
me.
I mean,
Like,
I listen. I couldn't agree with you more. Just yeah,
yeah,
literally everything that you
yeah,
said. I feel like that is totally it. Some people say, "Oh, just do this one thing," but I can only talk from my experience as well. It's like I learned so much from so many different things.
yeah, yeah. And like, even no matter what religion you believe in, like there's myths about God splitting himself up into different souls or whatever. That theme is there, and
Hmm.
if he split, like, if or whatever, God consciousness or whatever, if this thing split itself up to experience, whatever it wanted to experience, that means there's a piece of it in everything, and
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
everything, has like, pieces of the puzzle, like
Yeah.
whether like that puzzle is going to fit for you or not, it's still a puzzle piece. And
Mm.
like, but yeah, I feel like you get what I'm trying to say. But like
Yeah.
that's where I'm at now. Like, I don't damn anything. I don't like say, oh, this is uh like, hijacked or blah blah blah. um
Yeah.
it's
Incorrect.
Yeah, like, it's just um it either resonates, it harmonizes with me, or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, like, that doesn't mean that that dissonance is not gonna create harmony for somebody else. Like, it could be that that thing that, sparks somebody into like a aha moment. So why, damn it, why keep people
Yes.
from
Yes.
why keep people from, like, if I think, just because I think something is bad, or like I don't resonate with it, like, it doesn't give me the right to
Hmm.
deny somebody else's experience with it.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
because that experience could be what sets them off. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
you never know. So,
Yeah.
because I definitely had experiences with stuff that people would say, oh, that's, hijacked, that's,
Yeah.
black magic, blah blah blah.
Same. Yeah.
And that's what actually, set me on my path. Like, that's what made me realize what was
Yeah.
what.
And it,
So
and yeah, the same with me. And I think sometimes when you look back on it, then you change your perspective, but
mhm.
still
Yeah,
helped.
yeah, and like that, there's shadow work in that too. Like,
Mm.
if you get to where you are, without acknowledging, the dark stuff in your path or in you,
Yes.
you're
Yes.
just creating more shadow work, and it's going to end up hurting you in the future too. Like, you have to accept and like love whatever experience led you to that, because you can't just be like, oh, I used to practice black magic when I was 16, like, I thought it was cool. And then when, after you've had your whatever, however many awakenings, you're matured now, you know what's what, and you know how the energetics of stuff works. You're not just gonna shut out that 16-year-old aspect of yourself, like, and
Mm-hmm.
and because you're literally
Yes. Yeah.
you're cutting a piece of yourself away.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and I mean, if it's really that bad, if you can't reconcile it, maybe you can cut that piece off. But uh, so far in my life, uh, I haven't, uh, I haven't cut anything off that started from inside my head. Like, the only things I've cut are like technology stuff. Like, I used to be really big into video games.
Mm.
um, and I realized how much of a brain drain it was. Like, I still play video games, but I don't do it as much. Like, it was like the whole, we're gonna go back to like the identity thing.
Yes.
Like, I made it was part of my identity, and I was like, if I don't have games, I don't have anything.
Your face.
So,
Yeah, but you know what? I think that's true for a lot of people.
yeah, and you can replace that. You can replace that with
Anything.
anything.
So
Like, yeah,
true.
yeah. So for me, it was games. For somebody else, it might be the gym. For somebody else, it might be gardening, uh,
Yes.
or like, I mean, all experiences are good, but like having unhealthy attachments to
Yes.
them is like, that's when you got to start checking yourself.
Yes.
And if somebody's checking you, um, it's worth reviewing that. Like, don't shut that person out. Don't shut that part of you saying, maybe we should see that. Like, because I mean, what's the worst that can happen if you review something? You're just looking at it again.
Mm.
It could save you trouble like 10 years down the line. You never know.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's so good that you came to that acknowledgement as well about the gaming.
yeah, yeah. and like I said, I've been like that for a long time. Like once I had that conspiracy awakening and I was like,
Oh yeah,
everything is effed.
yeah.
Um, like I could drop something, that I loved forever at the drop of a hat.
Yes.
Uh, Maybe not my cat or like stuff, but like stuff that self-created stuff, or just
Yes.
overlays that I've dealt with, or hobbies or anything. Like I'm not so attached to anything where I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I can't live without this thing, or like I'm gonna be miserable without it, or I don't know what I'm gonna do, blah 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 blah. Like nothing
Mhm.
makes me feel like that. Like tomorrow, if all the material from Keylontic Science disappeared, everything, just like literally everything disappeared, um, I'd be okay, because like I have found, like, my personal connection.
Love
Before
that.
that, like
I love that.
pre 2018, no, like I definitely needed something to attach to. But
So rewind then. So when you were 15, also I just want to say that I feel like now so many people think that this 9/11 was a total. You
yeah,
know, back then it was like what? Now I feel like even people that wouldn't think agree with it. But anyway,
yeah, and the other thing with the COVID-19.
over 91.
Yeah, 91 bovid. Yeah, even with that, like people caught on so much faster. Like 9/11 took decades for
That's
people
so
to get it,
true.
but like
That's
people
true.
already 2 3 months into the pandemic, people were
Mm,
like, wait, no.
mm.
So
So interesting.
that was so cool to watch too.
So, just wanted to take it back. So, after you were 15, you had this, and then did you? It sounds like I don't know, but did you have a bit of a like negative outlook, or not really? Do you know what I mean? When it was just like
Oh
always,
yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah. I was totally victim mindset, uh blaming external stuff on why my life is going wrong. And to a degree, yes, like external stuff had an effect, but um
mm,
like looking back now, I'm like, I could have been a completely different person if I just
mm,
responded differently.
yeah,
Like somebody could, whatever energy could be coming in from outside, um
hmm,
but like, like it's all like the responsibility of how it affects you, it's still with you.
yeah, totally.
Like, and uh and yeah, that was just that was one of the biggest turning points for me, for me growing up, when like I was even getting out of the victim and blame game stuff before I even knew it was like
Thing, yeah.
a program. Like I was programming myself out of it, because I realized, like, wait, why am I always blaming something? Like
Mm,
I noticed that pattern. Um, but when I got into the Guardian teachings and Keylontic Science and base 12 stuff, I was like, holy frick.
yeah,
Like
it's the
it
framework.
the victim game, the blame stuff, it disguises itself as anything.
That's so true. Oh my word. Yeah.
Like you could almost reduce any kind of disagreement you've ever had that gave you anxiety, or like felt like your world was ending, to like an aspect of victimizer, or like a blame game, like, or something like that. And just seeing that just blew my, like,
Mm.
those connections just blew my mind.
So
But yeah,
what?
so what, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So I am intrigued. When was the second big moment that you had after that? I mean, 15 is very young.
Yeah, so 15 was like my conspiracy theorist awakening, where, I was like, question everything, like, your life is a lie, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Um, and then when I was like 18, 18, 19, 20, I I awakened into like sacred geometry, Buddhism, flower of life stuff, like, that stuff. And for some reason, never could sit through full meditations, never, just like the techniques never stuck. Like, I was like, oh, this stuff is going to help you change your life, blah, 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 blah. It didn't stick. Like it was working for other people. Like I was reading all these testimonies about, oh, I did this, and like, somebody channeled for me, and like, they made me realize my purpose and blah blah blah. But like none of that, like from a young age, like never resonated with me. And I just went through my early mid to late 20s just kind of nebulously, like not giving a fuck, like, oh, like there's consciousness out there and this and that. Like I was dabbling in stuff, but I never was really like, attaching to anything, or like got into any cults or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
That's
but yeah, so early 20s to like late 20s, I just was whatever. Like I was a good person. I was like, as long as I don't hurt anyone, it's whatever. And then when I was 30, is when I had my fourth awakening, and I call it like, like the Guardian teachings, the Keylontic, the base 12. Let's just call it base 12.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I was 30, I got into base 12, and it was, like I said, a game changer. Like stuff that has never happened to me started happening before. Like I could actually stick to, routines. The techniques like actually helped. The material resonated. Like it wasn't like like everything before that, like with Buddhism, Hinduism, and like all these things, like, they're great, but it just felt like I was selling a piece of myself.
Yeah.
Like everything felt like I was selling a piece of myself, and like I would not, like, just
Yeah,
like
not interested.
there was something in me that was like, just like, no.
No, yeah.
Like I went through life not attached to like any of that stuff, and I just it was just because like some part of me was like you're giving away a part of yourself for that, to work. And the base 12 stuff is the only thing that I haven't given away anything but money to, which I'm totally fine. Like that's fine with me. Money, I'm not attached to money. Like that's another thing. If people like you already know there's cultures of people, and like just people in general who are obsessed with like money. And like they've integrated it into a part of their of their being. And like, I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna say any more about that, but like we know what money has caused. But yeah, so like base 12 stuff and Keylontic teachings and Guardian stuff is what the first thing that I felt like actually empowered me without taking anything away.
Oof. Yeah, I was just gonna say that for me, similar sentient, like
Yeah.
a lot of things I feel like I was always looking for freedom, and
Mhm.
a lot of the things didn't. It was weird. It was in a way that just didn't really feel like it was freedom.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, keep
Yeah.
going.
It's like yeah, freedom, but you got to do these whatever they do,
Yeah.
like these things. But anyway, like there was conditions and stuff.
Yes.
Like and even I will admit this, there were gurus in the base 12 Guardian teachings and KS community that set conditions too.
Too, yes, yes, totally.
Like, you know, if this doesn't happen, this is going to happen to you.
Yes,
If this, like,
yes, yes.
but even with my experiences with that, like, just a part of me, like, I had already awakened some deep part of me that was beyond all of that stuff. And like, no matter what they said, I was just like, okay,
On my days, yeah, go on. What do you mean? Okay.
like, just there have been, you know, I've I've participated, let's say, in certain guru cults in the baseball community. I may have I may have paid a lot of money to fly out somewhere to do a retreat, which was very culty and like
Wow.
caused caused a lot of drama.
Uh-huh.
But previous to that, I had never put myself into anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the type of person who
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
put themselves out there. But I'm so glad I did, because I met so many people through it. Um, my discernment sharpened. Like, I was there for a reason.
Wait, so you're saying that even though the retreat or was centered, it was a bit off.
It was very off.
Okay. But in that process,
In that process, uh, like, I found myself even more. Like, I found a level of engagement with myself even deeper than
mm,
before. Like, most people that had that experience, I won't name names, and I mean, no one who listens to this will probably know them, but um, there were some people who completely discarded everything
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
after that experience.
Well,
And that's totally fine. Like, but I was integrated before I went
okay,
there.
yeah.
I was integrated to a point where, you know, like, I was like, all I'm gonna be losing here is money.
So this is what
So,
you're saying when you're like, whatever. If they say you do
yeah,
this, it's just like whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
because I already know myself. Like,
Mm,
your your uh your program doesn't work on me. I'm just here to
yeah.
enjoy myself, to experience.
Jedi
uh
mind tricks.
yeah. Like, that stuff doesn't work on me. Like, there were people at that retreat,
Yeah.
whenever this guru or this person spoke or like said stuff, they would be like, oh yeah, uh, yeah, like, yeah, don't totally, like, we gotta stop doing this and that. And like, I could tell it was, they were just like overwriting themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Putting
That's
the power.
yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually. Like, they were overwriting themselves with
Mm,
the overlay of whatever this
overriding.
guru or whatever um was saying.
Yeah.
Like, how about you ask yourself
Yeah.
first?
Yeah.
Like, um
Well, I mean, listen, I think there was a huge thing anyway. Like it happened to you like that, but in general, in the whole like community, let's say, where people started to realize, hang on a minute, I don't resonate with the way this person is communicating and not what they're saying. And like you
yeah,
said, I think some people really took that like, oh, it's because of the teaching, you know what I mean? But
mhm,
I just feel like it's anywhere, you look anywhere, there's these people that are trying to do this, the false
yeah,
prophets.
exactly. Exactly. And like, and that's why this material is so powerful. Like, I don't want to be a broken record or whatever. Like, even through like distorted gurus and uh
Yeah.
that them bringing in the information how they brought it in, it's still distilled properly in certain people
Yeah, interesting.
who were able to, you know, handle it. um
Yeah,
and like, it broke some people, but it made me like,
I love that.
but yeah. And that just like, the material itself is free of, you know, it's the freedom teachings. Like, it's free of whatever,
The conditions,
yeah,
yeah.
the conditions and stuff. And like, you can, like, automatically, when somebody sets
Yes,
like,
yeah.
it's like somebody's giving you the universe, but then they're
Yeah.
like, oh wait, but you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. Like the freedom teachings already gave you everything.
Mm.
And then these people come in trying to teach their version of the freedom teachings,
Yes. Yes.
and it just
Yeah.
it ruined it.
Yes.
Um, but the people who understood or like understood the material and like really connected with it for themselves,
They got rid of the teachers.
yes, they got rid of the teachers, and they knew from the beginning, like the teachers, uh,
Mm.
you know, like when you really read the books, like it says in the books, like in Voyagers 1 and 2, like,
Mm.
don't trust gurus and like this, that, like if anyone's saying this and that, like, always, ask, your higher selves or whatever. Like it was never, there was no hierarchy in it.
Mm.
Like the hierarchy stuff came in later.
Yes. Yeah.
Like if you look into the old base 12 stuff, but like the hierarchy stuff where they were saying like, your higher selves know better, and we know our higher selves better, so we know better than you. Like it does.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. No. Hang on a minute.
Yeah. So just like the inconsistencies just kept popping up. And I mean, now we are at the point where, whoever resonates with it's going to resonate. Whoever doesn't is not going to resonate. Whoever's tossed it out has tossed it out. And they'll be okay. They'll have the experience they're meant to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Um,
I like that.
but yeah, it's definitely been a ride. And just in the last 3 years, since having my final, I will say it's my final awakening. I don't know. There might
I love that. I
like I want it to be my final one.
was just
But
going to say to you, like, what's next? But
yeah.
continue. And then,
But yeah, since having this awakening, um, I've rewritten multiple like timelines. Like I've healed inner child stuff, like stuff that bothered me when I was a kid, like that I wasn't able to integrate, like maybe it was causing stuff in my present moment, like it just, like my consciousness was starting to expand to the point where I was seeing where I was being inconsistent with myself. um, and it takes a lot of honesty and um,
yeah, totally.
stuff like that. But if somebody's willing to do it, like I banished anxiety, banished nightmares, like I don't know, like anything you can like I still have them every now and then. Like I mean, like I said, I'm in a meat suit, so you can't be in a meat suit and then not expect it to do meat suit things sometimes. Like um
Yeah.
you can't like there's just I could go this meat suit thing also just brought up a bunch of tangents for me. Like there's movements of like, people trying to be breatharians and this and that. Like you're here to have a human experience. Like how are you gonna master breatharianism if you haven't mastered being like in a meat suit? Like what?
Yeah, I always just think everything has its own time, you know?
Yeah. And like there's aspects to awakening and like communities and in the awakening circles where uh just that like people aren't being completely honest with themselves,
Yes, yes, yes.
and like they're like um I still do whatever the f I want to do, like uh I mean I don't eat meat like 24/7, but I still eat meat, and uh I'm still here. Like my consciousness is not traveling down a black hole or anything. Like we're already like it's just like my main point is like anything that has conditions on it.
Yes. It's a bit of a
Yeah. Like
message.
yeah, like big red flag. Like any kind of teachings or anything or ways of life that are telling you like uh, if you don't do this, like this is going to happen. You're not going to get here or
Yes.
there or
Yeah,
this if you don't do this. Like that's all bullshit. I don't
yes.
care. I don't
Yeah.
care who comes for me. Like you can come for me right now.
Also, it's just instilling fear. That's what I
Yeah.
find. And I was the same as you. When I heard these things, I was like, okay, I thought maybe, but like,
Yeah.
I can see what's happening here.
And like people are letting fear get the best of themselves. I guess like enough shadow work hasn't been done,
Mm,
or like people just want to stay in the light. They just want to stay blissed out in the light, and like that's fine too.
yeah. Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, it's very important to have uh, you know, a good relationship with your meat suit, because if you
Mm,
don't have a good relationship with your meat suit, everything else that's coming, like that's getting filtered in uh is not gonna, you know, you know, distill properly or whatever. But
mm,
but yeah, it's like I said, it's a ride. I've just gotten really good at surfing. I like to say that. Like I could be plopped in any community at this point,
mm.
any political circle, any religion. Um, I could find a way to like fit in, to flow. Like nothing is, I don't damn anything. But yeah, uh
That's amazing.
that's just where I am right now. And uh like I used to worry about, like waking people up or this or that. um it would stress me out. To think about, like, what's going to happen to humanity, this and that. um but that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is my own, like, universe.
Yeah,
And
totally.
like if I'm taking care of stuff in my universe, like everything's going to be okay. Like that.
Mm,
I don't get pulled into, like you said, like these fear programs, like these blame games, these dramas. um I have been pulled into them, but the more, like, every time you get pulled into these things, uh each time should, like, you should be engaging with it at a deeper level, and
yes.
like
Yeah.
seeing it more clearly.
Yes.
Like you shouldn't be accepting whatever program or overlays are in
Yes.
that drama or whatever. You should, each time you
Mm.
uh like, which we will, like, we loop and stuff here. So every time I loop, I make sure I'm looping from a deeper level of engagement. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in a human experience. Patterns are going to happen, but
Mm.
each time I notice something, I take it upon myself to engage with it deeper and be like, what can I reveal about myself?
I love that because it's true. It is, like you said, natural but not organic. But the looping happens. It takes place, and
Yeah,
there's such a delicate thing there where you can allow yourself, like you said, to do it, but then also go deeper with it, so that you're not, you're figuring it out basically, but not also beating yourself up about it.
yeah. And that beating yourself up, actually, it's the worst thing you can do to, like, your
Yes.
consciousness, like that whole self-shame thing.
Oh yes. Ooh.
um like anything that makes you feel like you got to be ashamed of
Yes.
who you are,
Yes.
like, or your lifestyle or what you're doing, or anyone like pushing that kind of energy, you don't even accept it. That's like somebody that's like somebody asking you to accept like a collect call or something. Are you gonna accept? No. I hope not.
Wait, accept a what?
A collect call, do you know what those are?
No. What is it? I was
Like it's like somebody calls you
oh,
internationally or something, and you're like,
ah,
oh, so and so's calling you, would you like to pay $5 for it?
okay. No.
So like, yeah, like literally everything is by invitation down here. Everything is
Oof, that's so true.
by consent. uh
Mm.
like everything that's happening to you on some level, like on some level there is a responsibility aspect. And like, I'm like, remember we were in your DMs talking about certain circumstances in this that might be very triggery.
Yes, yes,
um
yes, yes.
I don't know if it's the right time to bring it up, but like, but yeah, there's
I mean, just that you mentioned the word, I just feel like there's so much triggering going on right now. And social media, it
yeah,
just exacerbates it all, you know?
yeah. And I in one of our first Zoom calls we did in our organic blueprint group, if you
Mm.
remember, I used to say that like I consciously trigger people.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I feel like I do.
There's a way to use that energy to to like help somebody along.
Mm.
Like you don't have to just like cause chaos in their life and just like go away. Like there's a way to, if you have the patience, you have if you have the time, if you have the knowledge, you can consciously trigger or activate somebody to maybe a deeper level of themselves. And usually when I have those interactions with people, that's when I know if I'm going to be able to talk with them at all or not. If they get triggered by something I say and they go into this whole like blockage, like, oh, like, you know, I or denial or anything like that, then it's like, oh, they're not ready.
Yeah, 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 I know what you mean. But even the whole triggering thing, it's like, again, it's something that's kind of natural. It's not like
Mhm.
necessarily a bad, like really bad
Yeah.
thing.
Like, yeah, it's I mean, there's organic processes. I mean, something triggers the flower to bloom, something triggers, like, you know, there's levels to it. But yeah, as far as humanity, like, yeah,
Yeah,
are you when you're triggering somebody, are you triggering like their like a
awesome.
flower or
Yes, yeah,
something, or
yeah.
are you just triggering chaos,
Yeah, ooh.
like
Yeah, and competitive cycles.
yeah, like
And
are
then
you,
when you, sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead.
And then also when you're being triggered as well, the same
Mhm.
thing.
Like, yeah, are you, you also have the power to, you know, cycle that energy
Yes,
that
yes.
triggered you and like find a way to make it a flower
Yeah,
or
yes.
a lotus or whatever,
And
like for
even what you said earlier as well, that going around and looking at it from a different and going deeper.
Mhm. Yeah, so like that, yeah, that exactly, the triggers are invitations to for that kind of stuff. And if somebody knows themselves well enough, they can, like, anytime I'm triggered, that energy, it's like somebody tries to loosh me, what ends up happening is I just loosh myself. I don't know.
What do you mean by
Like
that?
they don't get they don't get any feedback that's gonna um
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
create this like cycle.
Yeah, yeah. Then they don't get the answer, the result that they're looking for.
Exactly. And yeah, that's all within our powers. uh
Mm.
like we are, you know, in these meat suits having meat suity experiences. Nothing is that serious. um like you are having an experience. You are having an experience, but at any moment during, simultaneously while having an experience, you have the option to zoom out and see things as an experiencer.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
makes sense.
This is the like epitome, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is literally it. But it
Like,
can be
yeah,
difficult sometimes.
yeah, you don't have to identify to these experiences. Like, I'm gonna get into it now. I feel like this is a good segue. Like, you don't
Okay.
have to identify with these negative experiences so deeply that they become a part of you. Like, you were molested as a kid, you were raped, or like even as an adult. Like, these things don't have to be like who you are. Like, people attach parts of themselves to these experiences, but um sometimes shit just happens, or there's ways to engage with this stuff deeper. Like, that kind of that kind of like violation or whatever, it really opens you deep. Like, it creates like a capacity, these a capacity in somebody, to hold so much space, to know more, to be more. But what ends up happening is uh people attach to these experiences and they just stay in the experience, like in here. Like, it's like, I'm gonna use a bad example here. It's like Moses parting the Red Sea or something like that. Like,
Mm.
these traumatic experiences, trauma actually creates like space.
Yeah, like an opening.
Yeah, it's an opening. Like, and once you've been through the trauma, you can revisit it, like, and see that there's space there to do stuff. Like, there's all this unprocessed emotion, there's all this stuff that happened to you, and like that you've built up around your life to just on this thing. And it was like, you can review that and like, is
Yeah.
this healthy, is this not healthy? But a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, unpack it and review it. So review. It's like this whole journey. I feel like is a life review, constantly in motion. You know.
Yeah,
But I
you
like.
gotta.
Sorry,
No, go ahead. Yeah.
you got a review. Um, I like what you said on the group the other day about traumatic experience. Like, you, you don't need to base your whole life on this one
Mhm.
traumatic experience, and really, ultimately, there was only ever one.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that you want to
Yeah,
get.
remember?
Yeah, so I mean, it's only ever been one trauma. If you're talking about, if you believe or understand or whatever the fractal nature of reality, like,
Yeah.
you understand we all started from one point. There
Mm,
was this one original trauma that fractalized into this whole mess of beautiful mess, let's call it, like
yes.
this beautiful mess of existence, universes, blah 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 blah. But you can trace any trauma back to that point, and it can help you reconcile, um
And what was,
reconcile anything.
in your view, what was that original?
The original trauma,
Yeah.
uh I don't know. Apparently something at one point was one unified thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was like, hey, we have the free will to experience whatever the fuck we want, so why not just like destroy stuff and see what happens. And and then I think it got like, I will say God got a little carried away with itself, um and like, we're in this situation where we are now. But in God's eyes, or in consciousness's eyes, or in the one's eyes, it's still all one. It's seeing everything as everything. Like, there is no separation.
Yes.
We're just, seeing these traumas and these separations and these fragmentations as what they are. But Like at any point you can choose to see from the one.
So yeah, what you were saying is, the original one trauma was the separation, and
Yeah,
and we can feel that sometimes as well. It's our separation to source, right?
yeah.
But
And not and the illusion of it. Like
yes,
you're never
yes.
separate. But like yeah,
Embodied.
there was this the free will experience source was like, let's have a free will experience and see what the heck happens. But once source does something, it's not going to go back on its word.
Yes, yeah.
Creation doesn't work like that. Like
Yes,
once a snowball rolls down the hill, like
yeah.
it's gonna keep rolling until it stops.
So I would love to just sort of dive into this about your connection with source. Like, was this also with the base 12 that you discovered that it really deepened it, or did you already have that before, or have you always felt this thing, and what do you do in order to anchor that in more profoundly?
Yeah, I would say definitely base 12 stuff and whatever gave me a clearer picture of it. Like I would say crystal clear. Um, it gave me a crystal clear picture of my connection. Um, how the energies intertwine, how, how I came to be, uh, and all this stuff. It just like I've always been the kind of person to dismantle stuff.
Mm.
Um, and I dismantled everything in my life. Like, that sounds bad, but like I said, but like, yeah, just like I said, like, all the programs, everything I was raised thinking, everything that I uh, accepted on as a program or a reality or identity for myself, um, everything, um, just like whatever, like what I'm trying to say. But like there was just yeah, there was always this part of me that was like you're more like this, like this meat suit thing I say, like I've said it since before I had my 4 awakenings. I would always be like, you're in a meat suit, whatever. um uh, and then like after the base 12 stuff, um, it just everything started making sense. Like all the little realizations I had growing up,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I went back and reviewed my life. Like I did, you can call it traveling back in time or whatever, but through sometimes through plant medicine, um, I meditated and I reviewed, like I really dove really deep back into my life as a kid. Um, and like I always realized like there was like I was always looking out for me, or like source was always looking out for me. And but yeah, it's like I can't really explain it in words. It has uh like anyone who's experienced it knows what that experience is. And base 12 stuff definitely helped me cultivate it more clearly, whereas before, um like and more personally, whereas before it was like, I was like I had to give something of myself, or like accept an overlay or something to connect. Like, does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, so it's like I get speechless here because I like so many things are trying to come out of my head at one time. But yeah, it's just like you realize you've never been disconnected from it. It's all illusions. You're just like you're just dumb kids doing what dumb kids do. Like you can it's like if everything is fractals, you can think of growing up from a baby to an adult, like how source consciousness uh exists in the universe. There's um, there's spheres of it that are babies. There's spheres of it that are adolescents. There's spheres of it that are awakened and integrated. And then there's like that 0 point. There's the source, but like it's all one, and it knows itself. And like I would say we're in the part of source that's experiencing like rebellion and adolescence, like, or something like that. I don't
Wow,
know.
that makes so much sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I say that I just came up with that. I
Mm,
sometimes I just say stuff,
it does totally make sense.
but um but yeah, like um I've I've realized like the secret to understanding everything is seeing it as a fractal, and um seeing it as a fractal and seeing if you can like see a pattern somewhere. Like,
I love that. But you know what though? As you were just describing all of that, I was just thinking, but I feel like, it's all, you were saying the different stages and it's all part of this one, but I feel like a lot of the time it's just what we were talking about earlier, the shame and really just allowing ourselves to go through this experience.
yeah, yeah. Like,
Giving ourselves permission. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, when we're growing up, when we're rebelling, we're scolded, we're punished, like all this, like all very negative reinforcement stuff. Like, so, but when you look at source, it let aspects
Yep.
of itself rebel and do whatever
Yeah.
the f they wanted
Yeah.
until we're here where we are now.
It's so interesting, and I feel like this is the whole thing. This is like the kind of universal law,
Hmm.
which is kind of like unspoken, but I feel like deep down everyone knows. I feel like it is this thing of kind of karma.
Hmm.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So do
Yeah,
whatever, you're gonna learn, you're gonna get it. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. And like, let's make that distinction too with karma. Karma is
Yes.
a natural process, but it isn't the organic state of consciousness. Karmic
Mm.
stuff started when the free will stuff started, when the rebellious teenage years started.
Well, yeah, because it needs to balance out. One thing that I remember learning is that like nature always balances itself out.
Mhm.
So it's like it will just do, and it won't. It's like unapologetic.
Yeah, yeah. Like, um, like how society and like mainstream media is trying to twist global warming into an unnatural process that humanity caused, or like, bringing shame on people about it and using that to control people. What the only thing humanity is responsible for with global warming is maybe speeding up the natural process.
Hmm.
All we did was speed it up by a few thousand years.
I know
Right.
it's a
But like
funny
that,
one that.
but that's what the cost of the free will experience. Like, you had
Hmm.
humans on the planet doing whatever the fuck they wanted for generations and generations without like being like, oh wait, maybe we should stop to see what the earth has to say.
Like
Like,
yes, 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 yes.
there were cultures talking about this stuff. um they were silenced. Like, there were cultures living in harmony with the planet since the beginning of time.
Yeah, I feel like this is the distinction because it's like obviously there's truth in it.
Hmm.
Yes, we need to look after the earth. We need to respect it, like her and our environment, and but then at the same time, I don't know. There's a manipulation that's taking place that's just so off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. um yeah, so what has happened is, if you know the concept of like reversals and inversions uh,
Mm. Yeah,
in
but
con
explain it anyway.
in consciousness, and stuff. And basically, what's happening here is it's been inverted. Like, uh, these tribes and these things that had organic relationships to Mother Nature
Yes.
um, are being silenced and like they've been genocided and killed off.
Yeah, so
And
true.
like that knowledge has been hidden and wiped clean.
And
And
it's
then
like, oh, it's
they
backdated, the thing.
yeah, and then they sell you a brand of a relationship with nature that benefits them. Like, don't use straws, uh,
Yes,
don't use
exactly.
car, don't use cars, buy electric cars.
Yeah, don't travel in an airplane too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And then some of it isn't even true. Like I remember seeing something about this Tesla, and even to create one engine, like was ridiculous
mhm.
amount of energy, and it was just like, wait,
Yeah.
that's like you said, it's reversed.
Yeah, it was like I'm making this statistic up, but I mean whatever. Like I think I saw a meme that said like it takes so and so many tons of this natural resource to create a Tesla battery.
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
So who's really helping the environment?
yeah. Yeah, literally, exactly. There's
Uh,
so much that should be seen.
but yeah, so these are classic
Yeah.
signs of inversions in reality. Like if
Yes.
if, if organic tribes are being wiped out, and then they're trying to sell you, ways to help nature, it's probably to help themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what I was going to ask you because you were talking about I like what you said about your life review and going back.
Yeah.
And I was also interested about the trauma thing and how have you implemented that in your life personally? And I'd love you to just speak a bit about like coming from Africa, moving to the US and
I've had I've had some traumas.
we
I was
all have.
like, yeah, I was molested as a kid. I saw somebody get shot in front of me and like all this stuff. But like all these things, it's like a movie. All these things happen.
That's wow, I love that perspective.
But like, yeah, they all these things happen, but I don't have to attach to them. Um, and like they gave me deeper understandings of myself and like just like those parts of you are also ways to look into people. Like if you don't shut them out, um which is what usually happens, people tend to identify with the trauma, um maybe process it to a certain extent, but then they say like they've dealt with it, but all they really did is just like shove it away.
Yeah, so what does it really mean to dealt with it? Like, for example, what you said is quite deep. And what, like, those are those things.
How I dealt with it,
Yeah. And what did you say? Where was this? In the US or in
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia? Yeah, there. Damn.
I don't live I don't live anywhere near
Anything of that.
any kind of that stuff. But yeah, so these things happened to me when I was younger. Uh,
Wow, at such a young age.
yeah, and
That just changes your perspective. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and it's not a big deal. Like, yeah, okay, society and like mental health and psychologists and say like, oh, these things are la 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 la. But like I went through it, and you know, it caused certain things that made me chaotic growing up. But at the end of the day, as an adult, going back and reviewing these experiences, i I was able to see, from a deeper, like a deeper part of myself, like that I experienced these things. I am not the experience, and like what can I, like what of this can I turn into like a superpower? like
Mm.
like versus something that's always gonna be like over my head, and like, oh, woe is me, like hating groups of people who did that, like um like but it's just it's it's unique to each individual, but like the way that I processed it, it just I'm going to use this word again, reconciled. I was just able to reconcile my consciousness, like, and it was an experience that happened. I'm in a meat suit. Like, when the way I talk about this, it seems like I'm disconnected and like I'm bypassing it, but that's literally like I don't take anything too serious, so
No,
serious.
I know you don't. Yeah.
And like that's Awsun, 3D Awsun, you know, that was an experience. I mean, who knows what 4D, 5D Awsun or like parallel universe Awsuns are dealing with right now. Like, when you think of it like that,
That's a good point.
there's like in this fractal nature of reality, like anything that could have happened to you has already happened. um and whatever's happening to you now is happening to you now, and whatever happened, and what's going to happen is going to happen. Whatever, like, you get my point. Like, all you really have is like this
So
experience.
I've got a question though.
Yeah.
When have you like felt the whole process of because when things that happen to you at such a young age, sometimes they get stuck in your body, right? How have you done that whole process of like releasing? Have you been through, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the energy.
Yeah, the energy was stuck in my root for a really long time, root chakra.
Okay, amazing.
um
I mean,
uh
not amazing, but amazing.
and it manifested into physical symptoms. Like, I would get rashes on my butt like all the time. That's kind of embarrassing
How
to admit.
interesting.
Yeah, so
Oh.
this aspect of me, like, fearing or whatever, or like whatever that trauma manifested as, it manifested mainly in my shoulders, like whatever, like this area. So I would say this is like your throat chakra, right?
Yeah.
But like, I used to feel like a heaviness here. And then my root chakra, um just, it would manifest, like I would get these physical symptoms. And like, for the longest time I had like, yeah, like bum rash or something like that. And once I integrated these aspects, all that stuff went away. So there is definitely something to the meat suit and its relationship to consciousness and like stuff that happens to you, and how these things that happen to you can either be your superpower or what
Mm-hmm.
shackles you
Mm.
for
So when you say when you integrated, is it just literally the review that you did of, you
yeah,
know,
the review that I did. um uh and I've done many reviews like throughout my life. Like, obviously, I reviewed that when I was growing up in teenage years. It affected how I acted in college and high
yeah,
school, um, as an adult, up to the point where I completely was able to reconcile it. And that didn't really happen um, fully until uh, like, yeah, like the base 12, until the base 12 stuff came along and gave me like a new vision. I was like,
mm.
wow, I can actually engage with this stuff deeper.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's a trauma, but the trauma is actually like a construct in like, I've made it into like, uh how like tumors form on
Yeah.
something. Like, tumors are actually the body's response to protect you from something.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they're actually sucking up whatever is going to harm you. That's why it's important to, like, uh take it out and like get rid of it. But so basically what I did is, I had this energetic tumor or trauma in my body, uh from this, like, when I was molested or something. And what when I awakened into base 12 and Keylontic Science, and like my multidimensional vision opened up, I was like, holy fuck, what is this in my like root chakra?
Wow, I love that. So it
So
was heavy before, like
yeah,
growing up. It was a bit. It was. You had a different relationship with it, basically.
yeah, definitely. Obviously, like I was adding stuff to it like that wasn't helping. And like uh I had, you know, unhealthy sexual relationships with men, women, blah blah blah, like all that, like in my late teens, mid 20s, and like all that stuff, um and all that added to, you know, that trauma. Like it was all like there was a piece of me always attached, like I don't know where the attachment is. It's gone now, but like there was a piece of me always attached to my that root, and like anytime I experienced something, it would just like zip something down there, and like that energetic tumor would just like grow and grow and grow. And when I finally realized this, um I was like, holy fuck, I can literally just
Wow, I love it.
like so I went through my consciousness like that was like like if you talk about shadow work, that's I think what shadow work essentially is. It's you preventing physical ailments from happening in your body.
Ooh, wow, that I've never heard that description before.
Yeah,
Wow.
like the if you don't do this shadow work, it's gonna manifest as
Yeah.
something like out like
Illness, yeah.
an illness or something. And I bet if I didn't get to you know, process this stuff properly, if I didn't uh integrate these shadow aspects and like remove them from my root chakra or whatever I did, I don't know what I did, but I did something. And if I didn't do that, I 100% think that uh I would have had like some kind of cancer for sure.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I like the fact it's almost like it was immediate. It wasn't
Yeah.
like this huge, you know what I mean? It sounds like, oh, okay, now I can just see things differently, you know?
Yeah.
And also, I think maybe what you were saying with the Keylontic Science stuff, it's all about taking responsibility. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? So
Yeah.
that's huge. That
Yeah.
will totally change.
Yeah. And basically, like I said, what I did was shadow work. What you do in between that stuff, in the reconciling and the
Yeah.
engaging with stuff at a deeper level, like whenever you're looping or like re-traumatizing yourself.
Yeah.
Like you either have a choice to take a like, you know, uh heal it or re-traumatize.
And so I love that. And the person that did it, did you manage to reconcile that and forgive them?
uh yeah, like I'm hesitating because I was like 10 when it happened, and we were rough housing, and obviously that was his way of like, you know, getting there. And we were roughhousing, and like it just kind of escalated into like sexual stuff. And then like it just happened. So part of me was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like even back when I was 10 years old, I was like, I didn't really think of it like a trauma or like this thing that was uh you know, terrible, and like this person is terrible, um because I wasn't programmed like that. Like it wasn't until I got into like Western culture and like started digesting like Western stuff that like, oh, what he did was probably not good.
Wow.
But yeah, part like I think that's also why I process it differently, and like it wasn't that big of a deal for me because um
But I'm sure that's the same for other people as well.
yeah. And like, but like the thing is, when I realized it was actually like this
Yes.
big thing that people like adults are not supposed to do to kids, and like it's terrible and like you're never supposed to do that, blah 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 blah. Like I didn't like take it and run with it and like beat myself over the head with the trauma and be like, oh, I'm fucked up, like, oh my, like what am I gonna do? And like I just accepted it as an experience and like was able to process it. Like, but like I said to that, uh, growing up, it did affect me in certain ways, like
Yes.
sexually. But like, yeah, it's whatever. But like the main the main point is we we have like like a responsibility, like an ability to respond
Mm-hmm.
to this
Yeah.
to these things in our lives in ways that we can turn them into empowering circumstances or traumatizing circumstances. Like, are you gonna continue the loop or just get
Mhm.
out of it?
Yeah, totally. And I think for a lot of people, there is this huge aspect of forgiveness that comes along with it. Do you know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
always, it's like the relationship, the connection with these other people. And that is such a barrier sometimes, I think, from being able to heal and move forwards.
yeah. And also like uh um this might be a like the difference between like instances of rape and sometimes molestation, because molestation can happen in very different ways, but like rape is usually violent and
Yeah,
um
yeah.
so I don't know, maybe I might have a different opinion if I was raped. But that doesn't change the fact that once you're able to reconcile and like take responsibility for the like your energy and like how process the stuff, you're in full power um
Mm-hmm.
to heal it.
I love that.
Like
Love that.
you don't need 1,000 therapy sessions. You don't need I don't know, like sound bowl healing, or I don't know, like I mean that's nice. I would prefer the sound bowls to the therapy though.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah,
but
totally.
yeah, like that's like humanity has externalized like
Mm.
aspects of its own power. Like
Dude, oh my word, this makes so much sense because I feel like well, I've always done this work on my own. I don't know why. I just felt like I don't really want, like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna pick up the pieces, you know?
exactly, yeah. And like we've externalized our power to the point where, we let a therapist tell us how to process, we let a doctor tell
Mm.
us like how we heal, like to a certain extent. I mean, if you break your leg and you need to get it reset or something, okay, go to the doctor. But like,
Yeah, to a certain extent.
yeah, to a certain extent. But like, um, there's aspects to medicine that you actually don't even like. If I went to the doctor when I was having these like experiences where my trauma is manifested in my body and like it was causing this stuff, like who knows, like he could have said like, oh, you have a
Yeah.
a growth or something, we got to take it out or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Like, so why would I give somebody the power over my
Yeah.
body and reality like that?
Yeah.
Like,
And again, it's really finding our power.
yeah, like
And
to us, if you're okay, you're okay. Like, I mean, if you're passing out every 5 minutes or something's happening, or like you're bleeding out of your eyes, okay, maybe go to see a doctor.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to ask as well, just because you mentioned it before, how it affected your sexual like relations.
hmm
What is your relationship with that now?
uh I don't um I don't attach to uh like I don't have relationships with men or women. Um, I've had relationships when I was younger, but after my fourth awakening into Keylontics and base 12 and stuff, I completely dropped the like, oh, I need a partner and all this stuff. And I was like, uh and I think that's just my experience for this incarnation.
Yeah.
Like I feel like when I think about relationships
Hmm.
or like being in a relationship, I feel like I've done it so many times. So um maybe I've integrated aspects of me that have done this like throughout lifetimes.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And like I'm kind of tired of it or whatever. And like it just like I don't want to do it.
Well,
Um
who knows? Then you might meet someone, and then it's just
I might I might I might meet somebody who's also had like 10,000 relationships
yes.
and like knows that part of themselves or something like that. But yeah, just for me, it seems like the little experience I had growing up
Hmm.
um, taught me what I needed to know. Like I had a boyfriend at one time. I had a girlfriend at one time, and
Mm.
I'm able to like fractalize those experiences like into like, oh, this possibly could have happened, this possibly could have happened, but none of it happened. If we were together, this might have happened. And but yeah, I'm like I'm at the point where I'm just like I don't need
I
anything.
mean, that's an amazing place to be as well. And
Yeah, yeah. And like
yeah.
I said, we all grow up differently, and that I think that was just my experience. And some people go through life not having partners, and like I said, we've been through multiple lifetimes, and maybe the ones I've had partners just outweigh the ones that that I haven't, or vice versa. And like this incarnation, I'm just drawn to being like in solitude.
I
I don't know.
mean, you know what though? When I look back at my past, sometimes I just feel like a lot of the experience that I went through, and in relationships as well, they were just very intense.
Mhm.
Whereas I watch some other people, and they're just like, it's just a different thing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it catapults me in
Yeah,
my growth, you know?
yeah, and like there's probably stuff here that I could dig deeper into myself and see exactly why I don't want a partner now. Like, um, but like I at this point, like I feel like there's bigger fish to fry.
I mean, it's interesting because I felt before I met my partner now, I got to this place where I was just like, you know what, I'm good. Like, I need to enjoy this time now. Like, you know,
Mm.
sometimes even just having someone there, they're not, like even just messaging someone, it was just like they messed up with your energy, and I was just like, you know what, enough of all of that. I'm just gonna be, and then I just realized that I was so happy. So I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, if I end up spending the rest of my life like this, I'm good. And then boom.
Well, we'll see. I've
Yeah.
been I've been in that attitude for 3 years, and
Yeah.
nothing's dropped in my lap. So, but yeah, I'm
That's
not.
an amazing place to be, though.
Yeah, and
Mm.
like I'm kind of just uh perpetuating my own energy. A lot of times, um, I get the aspect of what you would do or miss in a relationship with like people in my life.
Yeah, 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 totally. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's really interesting to
It's just, you know what? One of my friends also once said to me, right, literally, I've known him to be single since I met him when he broke up with his girlfriend. And he was single for years. And then he got a girlfriend, and he was just like, well, you know, it's just another experience.
yeah.
Right? It's like, yeah, totally. That's exactly it.
And every person is a different puzzle piece. Just because I had a relationship with one woman or man doesn't mean that it's all going to be the same. But
Mm.
and they weren't like, my experiences weren't negative, like, or anything. It's like, it's just, yeah, it's just, I'm like, I feel like I've gotten to the point with my connection where uh like a lot of the stuff uh a lot of the stuff that like I would ever even want a relationship for. I don't even want. I don't know, but yeah,
No,
it's
I know.
like yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I'm in that place, but like yeah, I'm not. My heart is not closed off.
Yes.
If something happens in 5, 10, like I'm 33. Like
Hey,
people
I'm
find
33.
yeah, people find somebody
Yes.
like
But
at any
yeah.
point in their
Yeah.
lives, but like
Yeah.
at this point right now, I'm in the
Mm.
mindset that there's like bigger fish to fry, and like I have to, my consciousness has to be focused.
Yeah, man. Honor that process.
Yeah, and like
So,
I feel like a lot of times I'm doing a lot of like grid work stuff and multidimensional stuff, and um having to deal with like the energetics of um having another person there.
yeah, man. I feel like I was totally at the space where it was just like, I need to
Yeah.
be very cautious of who I allow into my life because the amount of work that I've done, I kind of need someone to match that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And also like yeah, it's just like I know our bank accounts are eternal and we have an like a never ending supply of energy, but I'm kind of like I'm kind of embodying that energy of like the wizard in his tower. Like I'm
I
cooking
love
up
that.
I'm cooking up some magic, um, some crazy shit that the Matrix is not ready for. Like so like if I bring somebody in,
Yes.
like that it'll change the encryption of that of me. Like my field right now is primed to bring
Mm.
in these codes, and like any deviation could change how the codes
Yeah, unless they are also on the same mission, you know, like, but
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And
I know what you mean.
but like yeah, no, right now definitely I'm like a wizard in his tower.
I love that.
Uh but yeah, it's definitely been a ride. Like I've done a lot of like I haven't traveled the world. I really want to travel the world, but any kind of human experience, like relationship wise, you could imagine, like
Mm.
I've I've dabbled in it. I might have not, you know, dove deep into one like one of any kind of like a relationship. Like I've always had friends um and stuff, but like I always moved around the planet, so like my mom was like a journalist, so I never was able to create these like lifelong friendships. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Moving around a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and then like you know how some people have like an ancestral home where like they could go into the attic and like find all of that old shit.
Yeah, I'm the same like you. They were all gone. Moved house too many times.
So like all of that kind of contributes
Yes.
to how I experience my
Yeah.
reality and stuff, and like
Totally.
and what is earth shaking and traumatizing to somebody else
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
is whatever to me.
Because there's those
um
attachments from such a young age that you just learn to just let go of.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Definitely I was built different, or
Mm.
definitely came in here to do some things, not just walk around in a fun wonderful magical meat suit, but like
Yeah.
they're like I'm more drawn to multidimensional stuff,
Yeah.
that I've realized now, and like that's like it just makes sense. Like all these things that have led me up to where I am now. Like my family's been transient. I haven't like I was given the perfect conditions in my life to not attach to anything.
Yes. Yeah, totally feel that.
So like I feel like that is a message from source that
Yeah.
like I should keep on that path and you know see where it takes me. But I mean, I met you, I met Georgie. I'm like I've met like so many
Yeah.
like and crazy stuff has happened in my life uh from following my intuition and
Yeah.
going on this path.
Totally. I
So
mean, I feel like it's the training ground. And also, in just what you're saying now, I feel like we're totally finding each other now. It's amazing. But I
yeah.
wanted to just ask you, what is your view now moving forward? And what's happening in the world at the moment? How do you see it playing out? How do you see your role playing out? That's a big question.
Yeah, like I mean, clearly the world is a joke. Like, I mean, yeah, people are being genocided. Uh, governments are lying to people. Like, you know, all this crazy, terrible shit is happening. Um,
Yeah.
um, but it's all a means to an end. Like, but
Hmm.
like I'm at this place where like I already know what's gonna happen.
Oh,
Like
wow, I love that.
it's like this is the same repeating
I
loop that's
love
happened.
that.
Totally understand, you know, uh everything's hijacked, everything's fucked up. um you know, the same families have been running the world since the beginning of recorded history. And that's why I know what's going to happen.
Okay, yes.
It's what always happens. Like um humanity, it's like an abusive relationship. Like humanity's always uh you know, slapped in the face, and then they're told, oh, you're, you know, sorry, we, you know, we're doing this for the best, the like, you know, your own good, blah blah blah. And then they give them flowers, and then 2 weeks later you're slapped in the face again. And then that's like how many generations of these people in charge doing that does it take to
Hmm.
realize like something's not right here?
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, like I already know what's gonna happen. It's what's happened in every instance in history and civilization. Um, it always starts out great uh, when when the powers that be realize they can't manipulate everyone. Uh, the strong arming starts, and then when the strong arming doesn't work, the the fear starts. The Once the fear starts, the subversion starts. Now you have humans, like the human tribe against itself, like you know, like the system. It's like um this is how I explain everything, and this is how I understand everything, and makes perfect sense to me. Imagine the planet as like an immune system, right?
Mm.
And these systems uh, that have um, put themselves in place are like diseases, or like
Mm.
foreign intruders, like outside from, like stuff that came from outside of the body into the body. And
Yeah.
what it ends up doing is, imagine every single human on the planet is a white blood cell, like, you know, tasked with protecting the planet. What these foreign installations end up doing is turn the white blood cells on each other. So they're not protecting the planet, they're not protecting each other, and the foreign intruder or whatever can do whatever the fuck it wants. Because every human that kills itself, or the more human consciousness is damaged, the less white blood celly, or like the less protective powers exist. Does
And
that make
so, yeah, what about the people who are fed up of this? and deciding to step outside the program. I guess like Chris, we were saying, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, those are organically functioning white blood cells, like that.
Yeah.
They understand and see the system how it was before the foreign intruder came in. Like the foreign intruding system came in. Damn, I'm good at weaving metaphors, aren't
Yeah, yeah, that is a really good way of viewing it.
I? But yeah, so there's aspects to source or consciousness or whatever that will always know like what this organic thing is. Like that's how growing up I always knew not to, fully put my trust into anything.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, you know what? I feel like so many people have that. And sometimes it seems like this rebellious nature, and it's like, oh, you shouldn't do that because you need to do. But then you start to realize now that actually that's exactly what you do.
that was your immune system responding, and you basically just taught it to
Yes.
ignore the intruder. Um,
Yeah, and it's because it didn't feel right.
yeah,
Like, why are you talking to me like this? You know?
yeah. Why is the system like this? Why is somebody treating me like this? Blah blah blah. But the organic immune system always always knows like there's something that just doesn't feel right.
Mm,
But now it's gotten to the point where you don't know what's artificial, what's natural, what's
yeah.
organic,
Yeah.
and like people's discernment is off. But like there's people like us who still like can hear
Here's a
a
call.
little bit of it, a little
Mm,
bit of it. Like so, even though we're bombarded with all the artificial and foreign stuff, for some reason that voice inside of us like just no matter what won't be drowned out, like it just
mm,
like there's just like that's how nature like exactly what we were talking about earlier. Nature will always have its things that
mm.
uh like are
Right?
uncompromisable. Like
Yes, yes,
it,
yes.
it has its insurance policy. Like
Yeah.
um when like climate change is the planet's insurance policy. Like it only happens if it happens in a natural cycle, but if some shit happens that's fucking up the planet, like you best believe the planet's gonna be like, okay, let's speed this shit up.
Yeah.
And that's based. I think this whole global warming thing is the planet's immune system responding, like after being fucked over,
Mhm.
and that's and that's uh and that's it. Like we're just kind of we just have to recalibrate ourselves to um our and our in our physical like immune system, our energetic immune system, the planetary, and we are the planetary immune system. We are the uh immune system of galaxies and universes. You see how it all fractals out?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that easy.
So, yeah. So, how do you see it playing out over the next however many years?
Well, how nature plays out. Either the foreign intruder wins or the immune system does.
Interesting.
So you can't like, and like I said, timelines exist where both have happened.
Yes.
Like I come like from my awakenings and experiences I've had. I come from a timeline where uh the foreign intruder like completely has almost wiped out
Okay.
humanity. Um, and I'm kind of here to make the immune system realize it needs to get working before.
So, what do you find you're doing now? Are you doing things in preparation?
Yeah, I talk, like I'm mostly doing stuff in person. Like I don't like if you notice, like I'll drop stuff on Instagram here and there, like, but I don't have like I don't if I wanted a huge Instagram following, I could probably get one. Um like I know like the what will draw people in and stuff, but like that's not how I operate. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would rather use that energy um like to hold down like actual not through the AI but like hold down actual grids. And so how I kind of spread my eternal life virus, I like to call it, is I just talk to people um
I love that.
uh because like I just talk to people if somebody's sparked or if somebody's awake already in an awakened community. I like give them another perspective, like, oh, like if they're wearing like uh a flower of life t-shirt and like all of our like archangel, I have archangel channeling Michael books. And if somebody recommends me like a YouTube video about like clearly questionable stuff, like I'll take those opportunities to like talk to somebody and be like, oh wait, there's actually this other perspective that's popping up, and it's a lot more clear, and like it's actually empowering you. You don't have to have an initiation from Archangel Michael to like win at the Matrix or something.
Mm.
Like, so like I kind of do my part in that way and talk to
Yeah.
people. um but also, I think I mentioned in one of our Telegram chats or voice chats or whatever that I I work for like a corporate company, and I'm kind of trying to distill the 12 attitudes and responsibilities
Yes, I
into
remember you mentioning, yeah.
into um the employee structure, like trying to make people realize like that, like honestly that those 12 attitude and responsibility things, they summarize base 12 Keylontics and all this stuff to perfectly.
Mm.
Like if somebody just read that, like they would get more out of it than 100 therapy sessions. And like I think all therapists, like every psychological therapist who's been through Metatronic University, I don't care if it's 10, like 4, 8, 10 years of psychology school, I don't care how many master's degrees they have.
Yeah.
um,
It's mad how much is missing. Like, it's crazy.
but
And
it's
like,
so simple. It's so simple.
it
Like
is.
it's like they're grasping all these complex uh theories, and like how schizophrenia happens and blah blah blah, and where anxiety comes from. But really, like they're looking at it from a
Yeah.
very complicated lens.
Yeah, you're right, it is simple. So, I just want to change this topic real quick
Yeah.
because I really want to ask you this question. But with your perspective that you have now, how do you feel about this whole race issue, especially coming from Africa?
um I didn't experience racism in Africa.
No.
So uh there's tribal
Yes.
hate, there's
Yeah.
like there's ancestral like bad blood, um but there racism is a consciousness trap. um
Ooh, what? Did you just say that?
yeah, I did. Racism is a consciousness trap. It's you're invited to engage with it, um and it only affects you if you engage with it.
Oof. But you can, that's a model you can place on everything. Like, even
Yeah,
what's happening
exactly.
now with the
Yeah,
abortion
any
thing.
kind of external thing that's trying to affect you, twist your uh nature, twist your inner nature, or like whatever, you can see that as, um are you going to accept that into your reality? Are you going to accept that into your program? Um,
So did you
because
sorry.
because because everything exists. Like
Uh,
there's white people who act black, there's black people who act white, and I mean there's like I don't even identify um as an African American. Um, I'm just African, and it's really frustrating that in the American system, or like in any kind of system, like you have to identify like what you are, like,
I know.
and they give you like five options, as if humanity's like summarized in like five options.
Yeah.
It's so hilarious. It's so hilarious to me.
So what have you've experienced it in the US then, racism? Because you
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, people have been racist to me. Uh, and like I've been in situations where like you're just gonna let him say that to you or whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh right, yeah, okay. So what's your response? And how do you avoid the consciousness trap?
I mean, I don't it's not even a consciousness trap to me, it's a joke. Like it's a consciousness trap for people who are trapped in there.
Yeah, okay, okay.
But like yeah, I don't I just don't even I don't engage with it. It's just you can clearly see it's like a looshing mechanism.
Hmm.
Like anyone who's like talking about like I was at a museum with my cousin um a couple weeks ago. It was like this museum uh displaying like um all the aspects of like slavery. Like there was like relics and stuff and like paintings that genius slaves did while they were slaves. Like all these old relics were found. And like there was this white lady that I was like looking at this really amazing painting. Um, and like this white lady walked up to me and she's like, "Can you believe my people did this? I hate myself. I hate to be, you know, included in this race. I wish I could do something to change it. Blah blah blah. Like it's unforgivable." And I'm like, I'm just watching her in my head. I'm just like, what are you gonna say to that? I'm gonna be like, yeah, I know. It's okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then it manifests in white people like that, or um,
Yeah, guilt.
in guilt, shame, or they take it the complete opposite way and like, yeah, black people are dumb, right,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It manifests in one of two ways, or like it's integrated and it's a white person who grew up in a black community maybe or whatever, and like they see the consciousness trap. Like there's white people and black people who see it.
Yeah, totally. So regardless of this like whole trap that it really can siphon your energy 100%. When all these things happen as well, and you can put it's a model on anything that's happening
Yeah.
externally. It's just like
Because
fuck.
it's literally the Metatronics and like this foreign intruding system.
Yes. That's
It has to use that template on everything.
thing,
Like
literally.
you can tell like uh it has to use that same kind of pattern in everything. And like once you see that, you're just like, oh wow.
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
totally.
thing is though, with eternal mechanics and like base 12 stuff, um if somebody distorts it and tries to use it in a manipulative way,
Yeah, well, that's not
the
it.
truth will always be revealed. Like in Metatronics, like there like in base 10, like there's ways to hide in like the angles, but
Mm,
there's really no angle in base 12 that it doesn't see. So eventually
you see.
you see it.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, outside of the kind of looshing, how do you feel about like say this kind of ancient oppression of Africa in general and
that's also another consciousness trap, honestly. Like, have you, I don't know if you have them in Great Britain or whatever, this group of like Black Jews or whatever that are like saying Black people own the planet, they're like part Anunnaki and all this stuff and all this stuff.
Wow, no, I haven't heard that.
Well, I'm glad you haven't. That they might be coming to a city near you soon. There's a whole group of um, there's a whole group of Black people who resonate with comedics
Oh yeah, 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 no, yes. I've heard that. Yeah.
and like and how Black ancestry is actually rulers of the planet, and like how white people are from a like
Yeah.
an intruding race or whatever.
Mm.
Um, it's all bullshit. It's just like when people talk about that stuff, I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
I'm
But
at
what
the
about like I don't know, sometimes I feel like things travel down your family line, you know what I mean? And it's
yeah.
just the whole
Oh,
concept of slavery. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, I didn't have that generational trauma.
yes, the
I
that's the term, generational trauma.
Yeah. I'm 100% Ethiopian. If anything, my people maybe sold slaves to
Wow, okay.
the white people. So I don't have that generational trauma of like being ripped from your home uh, and kind of like growing up like diluted and like the world um, doing everything it can to erase you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Didn't really grow up with that, so I can't really speak on it. But again, uh, the system is only as powerful as you allow it to be, and you have the ability to respond in a way that empowers you.
Yeah, empowerment. I was just gonna say that word.
Yeah, like
I love that. Yeah,
everything
and with anything.
with it's literally anything. Like if you're drifting into victim mindset or about to blame something for something, like that's like I still catch myself
Mhm.
like when I miss something or like my alarm doesn't go off or whatever, or like if there's chances for me to blame something or fall into like a victim mindset, like I will literally catch myself like I'm still in a meat bag. Those
Mhm.
thoughts are still there,
Yes.
like
Yes.
I'm not this perfect being. Like I know a lot of shit, like I can figure myself out, but that doesn't, just because like I know what to do doesn't mean like um I do it like perfectly all the time.
Yes. Yeah, that's
So
big. That's big. Because yeah.
yeah, and that's a like I've also reconciled that part of me, like
Mm.
uh I used to let it hurt me, like, oh, I should know better than this, like, bruh, you like navigated out of so many consciousness traps, like you don't experience anxiety anymore, like all this stuff, and like you're letting this shit happen. um
Yeah, that voice.
Yeah. So I mean, like that like I still experience that, but the difference is I engage with it differently now.
Mm.
Like I know I can literally engage, like step in on that conversation, like, um, and
Yeah.
I can reprogram it before it even reaches, like those things are happening. They're not even happening in here. They're happening like here.
Mm.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like,
Yeah. It's not so close. It's
yeah,
like
your consciousness is like this is like the most solid part of your consciousness. You're
Mhm.
actually like
Yes. Yes.
out here.
Love that.
Like it's like the Russian doll thing. Like this is the tiniest part of the Russian doll of like your multidimensional self.
Yeah.
And and I don't I don't cause those reversals in myself anymore. Like I don't uh or when I feel I'm coming on, I'm like, oh, oop, and like I just
Yes.
snap of a finger. Obviously somebody who's never done that stuff before, it's going to take them a while to
Yes.
practice it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But
the
that is the point, you know?
the more you catch yourself doing it, the more you reprogram from the programs.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
like the more power you reclaim, like that, like it's not even a reclamation, it's like remembering, like you've always had the, like you realize like you've always had the ability to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. Like,
Mm.
but yeah, so I don't shame myself, I don't beat myself up anymore, and if I do, it's maybe for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and then yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't make that 2 minutes like
Forever.
ruin my whole day or like cause even more reversals or whatever. I'm just like, oh, that was 2 minutes of me experiencing this, and okay.
Yeah, okay. Oh,
But yeah, like this call might seem like I know, a lot of stuff and I'm perfect or whatever, and I'm make like this is honestly, this is what triggers me, and I'll say this. When
okay.
the way that I talk and the way that I my attitude and everything, the one thing I get from awakened people, even in the uh base 12 Keylontic Science community, is like, you're detached, you're like
Yes.
bypassing,
Yeah.
you're not letting yourself feel the emotions, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm literally experiencing it, I'm just not uh like I'm not like, okay, imagine like an experience is a boiling pot of water or something. Like uh like you can let it burn you once, okay, like, but what's the point in, like, you already know that experience, you've had it, like, so the next time it happens, you have the option to experience it as an experiencer, not literally dip your hand in the freaking oil.
Yeah.
So it's that easy. It's just like, I see everything like that now, and it's just, it seems detached and robotic and whatever to people who may not have gotten to that understanding for themselves. And
Yeah,
like,
I No, I feel like I can relate to that because I think I went through a lot in my life. I remember once I had this job and basically everyone just thought that I didn't care.
yeah,
It was like this observation of me, and actually it's just because things didn't affect me as much. Because once you go through something so many times, you know what I mean? And if you go through something that, I don't know,
yeah,
it causes you to just not be so
yeah,
affected, you know?
yeah. I mean, you can let it affect you, but
Yeah.
like, again, that's just, you got burned by oil once. Are you going to burn yourself with the oil
Yeah.
every single time you have the opportunity? Like,
Exactly. And then eventually people realized, they were like, oh, you do actually care, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I still go through that even with my family. Like I said earlier, my family, when I detached from them in certain ways, like I still have a relationship with them, but like not to the point where I'm letting them unhealthily attached to me.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm managing that. Before, I was just like, oh, it's family, don't need any boundaries, blah blah blah. But yeah, that's changed, and it's interesting to see their perspective on it. Like, it's like I cut them off, and like,
Yeah.
and they're trying to like guilt me or like shame me into like, we're your family. And I was like, okay, i'm literally I'm literally like a spark of source you pooped out of your vagina. You have no claim. You have no claim over me. And you're a spark of source that pooped a spark of source out of its vagina. And somebody pooped you out of their vagina too. So like, what's the big deal?
Okay, that's so
But yeah, that's my perspective on everything nowadays. And if people have a problem with it, that means they have a problem with themselves.
yeah, no. I know. Sorry. But yeah,
Like,
totally.
Like I know now when people are projecting stuff on me, it's literally
Exactly.
they're projecting on me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not my responsibility.
Mm.
Yeah. Wow. What a conversation. Amazing.
God,
Thank
I got excited towards the end. Whenever I'm talking about anything that activates or triggers me, I'm like, because I still deal with that, and it's just like you don't get it. Stop projecting on me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I'm not you. Maybe that's how you experience detachment, but that's not how I
Yeah.
experience detachment.
No, I
I
used yeah.
like, and I was gonna say if I detach, I literally detach.
Yeah.
Trust
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I think that is one thing that but I think I'm not so bad with it these days, but definitely when people put their labels onto you, it's just like no, bruv. Nah. Like
Yeah.
just stop that.
Yeah, it's not black or white. It's not like, whatever you learned in school, whatever the
Yeah.
psychology book told you, that detachment uh, or bypassing or all these bloated terminologies that are
Yeah.
trying to explain the unexplainable.
In binary forms.
Yeah. Like
So
I'm not bypassing. I'm experiencing who knows how many things at one time. So like you're stop trying to put the experience in a box.
mm,
Like it's just, yeah, that, like, that honestly, like if I had a trigger, that's honestly the only trigger that's probably left in me.
mm,
Which is not, I mean, not a bad thing. It always reminds me
yeah.
to check people too. So
Yes, exactly. And yeah, thanks for sharing that.
yeah, like I used to stay quiet before, but now
Yeah, I was the same. Yeah.
I'm like, huh?
Yeah. And now it's like I'm not afraid to just do it and also then let go afterwards. Not hold on, just be like
Yeah,
saying
exactly.
this, done,
And if
moving
they
on.
hold on, that's on them. You're basically going to be living rent free in their conscious. Like, I hate to admit it. I hate to admit it. I hate to admit it too. But we actually lose each other too. And when somebody
Yes, so true.
when somebody's living rent free in your head, they're losing you.
Oh
So
my days.
if
That's
you piss if you
yeah.
piss somebody off, or if you piss somebody off and they're always thinking about you, and like thinking about what you said every time you pop up into their head, like the Metatronic architecture gives a little bit to you, but it takes more for it.
Mm. That's big because it's true in relationships
Yeah,
happens.
like it's mostly for the system, but
Yeah.
like you get a little bit of it too. That's why people kind of get drunk on that, and
Yeah,
they
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
they they turn into people who, like, want to be in
Yeah.
those, like, relationships, or like want to
Yeah.
cause people to be in chaos because they know
Yeah.
they get a little bit of.
Yeah. And then there's no other way of seeing it. That's the only dynamic that can be created.
Yeah,
But
because it gave you a little bit too.
yeah. But it's amazing to hear your story and how much like work you've done to get to this place because I feel like this is
Yeah.
it really. And to be so lighthearted with life as well because I feel like a lot of the time you just laugh at everything. And that's great.
Yeah, like seriously, like once you like I said this in the Telegram once, like life is a cosmic joke and you just have to let yourself in on
Ooh, yes.
it.
Love that.
So
No,
yeah,
I
that's
thought
why.
I thought you were gonna say you have to laugh at it, but then you went let yourself in on
Yeah,
it.
I know,
Yes.
I know. I'm so deep, right? Like, yeah,
So
I talk in multiple dimensions.
yeah, Liz.
Um,
Thank you so much.
of
So
course, this
how
was this was super fun.
yeah, it feels very light. I like it. Um yeah, so I like to end on this one question, but also if you feel like you want to say anything else, feel
Mhm.
free. But yeah, what does freedom mean to you?
Oh, geez. Freedom means, being a spark of source without conditions.
Mm.
Like you really are part of this thing that is unmeasurable, unquantifiable, unboxable, and like anything that you know wants to box you or tries to box you or asks you to fit in a box, you that shit is out of here. Is out of here. So yeah, I would say, yeah, get more comfortable. Get more. People should like freedom is kind of getting comfortable, um, in your freedom, in your like freedom. Like get rid of get rid of conditions.
Mm.
It's that easy. I mean, yeah, like we live in a meat bag. There's certain conditions we have to follow. We live in some systems. I still pay rent.
Yes.
So I mean I'm gonna do that. But the
Mhm.
bigger stuff,
Mm.
like I can pay rent and sit in the 15th dimension. Like I'm completely fine doing that. Like
Understand.
that's freedom. Like I'm not even when I experience hardships now that make me feel like I'm not free, like I know it's an illusion. Like anything that's not freedom is an illusion. Like
Mm.
there's no chains. Um, I mean, unless you get put in jail. Like there's definitely chains in 3D, but the big chains, the big chain, there is like that freedom that you were asking me about. It's very easy to attain. Uh, but yeah, I think I'll stop there because I could definitely just keep
Yeah.
ranting. Thank you so much for having me. This was so cool.
Yeah, thank you as well. And it was really nice to get to know you more. Yeah.
Definitely. Um, are you do you usually post these things or do you like snip it?
I'll post the whole. And then I'll put a snippet on Instagram usually.
So they're gonna see me like eating chips and stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Probably,
And they're
yes.
gonna see this conversation. That's awesome too.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, cool.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I will see you on the flip side.
Yeah. On the other calls. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode and to this podcast. We hope that you can gain many insights through the art of listening. If you haven't already, we would love it if you can follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if that feels right for you. We've also just launched our first online course, Awakening 101, a ninja's guide to navigating your spiritual awakening, which is led by me and is offered via donation. So if you feel called to that, then please dive in. It's available via our website. Thank you.